Well, welcome to another video, and I am super stoked for today's video because I'm going to be building out the cage and or rig, if you will, for my trip next week to Jamaica for Paradise Challenge. First one so far. Hopefully there'll be more in the future, but Jamaica, first time Paradise Challenge, I'm super excited. And if you don't know what Paradise Challenge is, it's this awesome kind of like networking event where a bunch of photographers and models all kind of sign up and are brought together in like these really cool, unique locations to create just awesome content. They have these, I guess, experiences, if you will, all over the world. Jamaica, Dubai, the Maldives, just an awesome organization. Definitely check them out if you're interested. But without further ado, let's roll the intro and get started with the cage. Alright, so for those of you that have stuck around and are interested in this cage build out, this is going to be a very specific rig because I'm going to be doing a lot of running and gunning, all handhelds, and I'm going to be on the beach in unfamiliar locations. So I need my rig and cage to be as mobile as I possibly can, and I have to be able to easily switch from videos to photo without having to take apart a whole bunch of things. So let me kind of just break down all of the pieces that are going into the rig, and then I will be showing you how I put it all together. And there's going to be links for all the gear down below. All right, so the first thing we got to talk about is obviously the main cage for the camera. Now, this cage comes from a company called Lock Circle, and it is the full metal jacket cage. Now, this cage, I actually bought it used from a friend, and they actually discontinued this cage specifically because now they sell the cage with like the top handle and a bottom rail system, and they want to sell you this whole package all together. Now, the next piece of gear that goes on this cage is the small rig top handle grip for the NATO rail standard system. Now, I actually really love this top handle for a couple reasons. A, it quickly snaps on and off the NATO rails, so I can take it on and off if I want to. That makes it easier for when I'm switching from photo and video. B, it has two hot shoe mount places to put either a light or a mic or something like that. And then obviously it comes with all the screw holes that you can add on different articulating arms and different pieces of gear. The other really cool thing is that it has a sneaky place for an Allen wrench, which is really nice, especially like when you're quickly on the go or something like that. You need to tighten something real quick. Don't want to run to your gear bag, wherever that might be. You always have it on your top handle, so that's pretty cool. The next thing I will mention, which we've kind of already talked about, is the small rig quick release safety rail. The one that I have is actually about 1.5 inches, and that is where I put my top handle, my small rig top handle. And basically it just makes it easy to quick release the top handle instead of having to actually screw in the top handle into the cage. This makes it so much easier to take that off, take off the monitor, and just use the camera for photos. Next thing we'll need is an HDMI cable. Now, I have tried a plethora of different ones. I had a Condor blue one for my Fuji X-T4, which was an HDMI to not mini HDMI. I made the mistake and I bought that as well, so I have that, but it's HDMI to micro HDMI. And I really like that cable, and I probably should have just gotten the HDMI to HDMI one, but I ended up getting the Atomos HDMI cable. And honestly, it's worked great for me. Haven't really had to deal with any drop frames or anything like that. And this is HDMI 2.0, so it's very quick with transferring. And so far, so good. Really happy with this cable. All right, so next up is the Atomos Ninja 5. This is my recording monitor, and honestly, I don't really film too much with the Leica SL2 without using a recording monitor because the SL2 and the SL2-S don't have a flip out monitor or screen. So having this while you're filming is awesome. Also, side note, since I am going to be in Jamaica in the sun, sand, heat, very bright, the sunshade for the Atomos is a small piece of equipment, but highly recommended, especially if you shoot in the type of conditions that I tend to find myself. This makes seeing your monitor so much better, like day and night, legit. and it's not very expensive. So definitely invest in a monitor hood. All right, so next up we actually have the small rig mini follow focus and a 15mm rod to attach to the camera cage. Now, I am not sure whether I'm actually going to be using this follow focus. I do have the NATO rail set up on the cage because it actually just serves as a nice handle for grip and holding the camera. Whether or not I attach the follow focus gear and use my camera to manually autofocus, that's going to be kind of a game time decision. We're going to play around with some different autofocus settings while we're down there and see if we can fine tune that a little bit. But if I find that, I'm missing the mark a lot, I'm going to bust this little guy out. But I love this follow focus because A, it's not very expensive, and B, it is really small and it's very adjustable too. Like you can move it and bend it around and it adjusts into a bunch of different angles. So I really like that. And also the gears are very defined as well, which makes it really easy to attach to most lenses. The next piece of gear that is going to be part of this cage is not going to be on here for the majority of the cage, but I am bringing it just in case we do end up doing some nighttime shots, or if I just need a little bit of extra light on my subject's face. I am bringing this LED video light, but this is actually a pretty old piece of gear that I have, and it's always just like floated around in all of my bins and cases and whatnot. And honestly, it's a pretty great light. I'm sure there are updated versions of this thing. I mean, I'm thinking I bought this back in like 2018 or something like that, and just this thing's been chugging along. It gives off a lot of really good, nice light, and it comes with a couple of different diffusers, so I've been pretty happy with this. Eventually, I do want to upgrade to those aperture mini lights that have like the different ranges of colors and the RGB coloring, but for just if you need a little bit extra light on your subject's face while you're filming, this thing's great. All right, so moving on to a couple of the smaller pieces. This is a small rig adjustable camera monitor mount. This thing I just recently purchased the other day. I saw someone on YouTube, I'm trying to remember his name. I cannot off the top of my head. DSLR video shooter, there he is. Caleb. I saw that he was using this monitor mount, and honestly, with the top handle that I have, this was a great solution to put my Atomos Ninja towards the back of the camera rather than just sitting on top of the hot shoe. Because of the weight disbursement between the whole rig, it really balances out the rig as a whole rather than like being a little bit front heavy or top heavy, having the monitor on top of the actual handle. So this was a small little purchase, but very happy I made it. Now the next piece of equipment I want to mention is not necessarily attaching to the cage, but you need to power the Atomos Ninja somehow, and these are my new favorite batteries. It's a 2-pack of the Npf970 batteries. These are for Sony NPF batteries and a bunch of other numbers here that I won't bore you with, but the really cool thing about these batteries is that it has both a micro USB, a USB-C, and a regular USB port to charge the batteries, let alone you can actually like plug the battery into an actual charger and charge it as well. But having 3 different ports to charge the battery is really cool, and the fact that you can push the button on top and it gives you the readout of how much battery is left in these things, that's really cool. All right, so for sound, I have the Rode Videomic Pro. This was also another recent purchase. Because the Atomos Ninja requires a mic to be self-powered in order to record the audio while you're recording out to the Atomos Ninja, I needed to get an upgrade because all the mics that I have are not self-powered except for my Sennheiser, but that's kind of a really big mic. I didn't want to bring that along for this trip specifically because I wanted to keep the rig kind of small. So I invested in this Rode Videomic Pro, and what's great about this is that it does have the battery that you can actually take out and charge the battery on its own, or leave the battery in and you can actually charge the entire mic with a micro USB cord to USB and put it in a wall outlet and you're good to go. And the last little piece of equipment that I will mention is also a small rig monitor mount. Now this one I specifically use for the top handle, and this is what I would use to attach the LED light that I mentioned for night shoots or for adding in a little bit of light on your subject's face while you're filming. This is what I used to use to put the Atomos on the top handle, but now that I got that other small rig monitor mount, I'm using this for any extra piece of equipment that I need to put on the cage. Now that we've kind of gone over all the gear, let's build this thing out. Yeah, I love this rig. I know, it's awesome. I know, guys. Trust me, I know, it's awesome. And you know, if I wanted to add a little bit more stabilization, I have the Peak Design little tabbies here, so I can just throw on my strap around my shoulders and my neck, and then you have a little bit more of a stabilized rig here because you have tension that you're putting on your neck and back to kind of balance it a little bit better. But honestly, I love this setup right now. I'm so excited to shoot using this exact setup. And if you have any questions about this rig, about the Leica SL2, using it for video, please feel free to reach out, leave a question down in the comments below, or feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram. And until next time, I'm Quintana. Toodles.